Sahil, yes, we can start.
Sure.
People would join in between.
Sure. So hello everyone, my name is Sahil Saini and I will be sharing my thoughts on the different type of product managers. So firstly, I'll like to thank Lokesh for the lovely introduction as well as giving me an opportunity to interact with the aspiring as well as fellow product managers. So quick brief about me. I'm a product management professional with around 6 years of experience. I've worked in product management and strategy roles with companies like Square Yards, Office, Tata Group, and startups. I am an early stage investor at DYT. Do Your Thing is an upcoming micro investor platform. And in my free time, I like to read about product management, advise startups, help PM aspirants. From my education perspective, I did my MBA in finance and marketing from IFT and engineering in electronics and communication. So the agenda for today will be describing the different type of product managers, what are the differences between them, and I will be also be taking some questions going forward. So I am myself, uh, I would say, a self-made product manager who has basically learned a lot from different kind of courses, resources, and I've also applied to various product manager positions. And what I've realized is that in the field of product management, there are different genres of product manager, different types of product managers, and it will be great if I can throw a light on the different types of product managers, so the aspiring product managers can have a good idea of the whole canvas of product management, right? So starting with the cliche one, the startup PMs versus the big corporation PMs. So startup generally, there are very small product teams. Generally, the couple of product managers, a product head, and each product manager is basically owning the whole product. So it can be a web product or a mobile or a business product. And startup resources are limited, right? So it's a much easier, query resolution, or you can directly approach someone if you need some data to analyze upon and to work upon. Whereas in big corporations, there are big product teams. For example, on the likes of Flipkart, Ola, there'll be a product team for search, product team for Ola Money, and different product heads and multiple product managers reporting to them. So one of the key focus of the product managers in a big corporation is that they focus more on experimentation, hypothesis, generating hypothesis, basically validating that hypothesis, uh, and a major focus is on stakeholder management because there are widespread teams and you have to work across teams, whether it is tech, marketing, data analysis, sales, etc. Right. So accordingly, each of the role has its own positive and negative as well as challenges. Now, going forward, based on the strengths and the past background, the product managers can be basically or of different types like a tech PM, design PM, and a business PM. So tech PM is where having a very strong technical understanding and experience, and he's basically someone who has started his career as a developer and has moved into product management. Right now, there are certain companies which are tech driven. For example, Google. So they hire a lot of tech PMs. Whereas the design PM is someone who has a very good design sense. Its focus is on providing, very excellent, I would say, customer experience to the user. And some of the corporations where design PMs love to work are Apple and Airbnb. I would say because these are the design-led companies. Then business PMs who have a background of data and analytics and also a very good understanding of the whole business. And they basically, love to work on providing, building new features, uh, which would be, ultimately benefit to the customers. And these product managers, generally work across industries. but primarily Facebook and the e-commerce, retail, these kind of companies have a lot of business PM roles. Yeah, moving forward, so we have B2C versus B2B PM, so a business uh, to consumer and business to business industry. So in a consumer facing industry, the product managers are primarily a customer advocate, and he focuses a lot on experimentation, on A/B testing, on optimization. Uh, for example, in any consumer internet company like Myntra, like Flipkart, like focus is on lot of focus is on optimizing the existing products, existing web pages, existing flows, and how can we generate uh, more success through those optimizations. So it can be either through generating more leads or getting more conversions, or getting more people to complete the whole checkout process. Whereas in a B2B company, the major focus is that the buyer who is paying for the service or the product, he may or may not be the end user, right? So you need to keep in mind that the product which you are building would be used by someone who is not paying for it, right? So it involves a lot of challenges. Uh, and in a B2B kind of environment or company, I would say there are major players like uh, Visual Website Optimizer. Uh, so here and Zoho and Freshdesk in India. And here focus is on having a strong domain knowledge of what the product is, see what's the objective the product is perceived to achieve, and a lot of customizations according to the need of each and every customer or a big customer is also expected. Yeah. Now, classifying the product managers according to the platform they work on. So generally, they are classified into web as well as mobile. So the important thing to keep in mind is that if you are a product manager who's working for a website, uh, as well as a product manager of a mobile product or a mobile app product, you need to have a clear understanding of the technology or the development methodology behind each platform, right? You need to know about how websites are built or hosted, the front end, the back end, the whole tech stack, whether it's lamp stack or a mean stack. uh, and similarly on the mobile, whether it's an Android and iOS, you need to have understanding of both these technologies, right? uh, One thing most crucial is that in mobile product, you know uh, UX is much more critical because I would say the uh, screen real estate is very much limited as compared to web, right? So providing an experience, a great user experience to the customers is very important. And another thing I would say to keep in mind here while as a PM for a mobile product is that you need to have a planned releases for the mobile, right? So you need to plan in advance for the different versions or the releases which you want to release. That is also important in web, but in web, you can have a much more releases in a much more frequent way, on a frequent manner as compared to mobile. Right now, so generally there are certain products which are web first and certain which are mobile first. So, as we have seen that Flipkart also tried to become a mobile first company, but they later pivoted it for better reasons. Uh, so, uh, for example, Uber and Ola, they are a mobile first product. right? And different e-commerce till date, I would say, are web-based products. Yeah. So moving forward, we have consumer-facing versus back-end PM. The consumer-facing PMs are product managers who basically build products for the buyers as well as the sellers. Taking example of e-commerce. In e-commerce, for example, there will be a product manager who will be taking care of the buyer experience. That is the normal consumers like you and me who are going to the app and website and basically buying the various merchandise, as well as a seller experience PM who will be taking care of the supply side. That is the different sellers who are listed on the Flipkart platform. So they will be providing the relevant tech solutions or the apps for the sellers, which can help them to list their inventory or uh, manage their payments for Flipkart. Here, generally, PM is much more consumer focused and he's basically a consumer advocate. Backend PMs generally focus on backend tools and portals, primarily focus on processes, internal tools, tools. So they also help the other stakeholders which are inside the company and build products for them. They can be operations or sales or logistics. So they are much more focused toward processes. Yeah. Going forward, there is a new category of product managers uh, called platform PMs. Now, the platform PMs generally is something are people who work on a platform. As we can see from the definition, that a platform is a common infrastructure that you can help to build products on. Right. So the platform PMs work on providing or building products which are which use APIs and CMS systems. Whereas a product is something which you sell, right? So platforms are structures that allow multiple products to be built within the same technical framework. So platform PMs are mostly engineering, focused, and they generally would be building the microservices or building the APIs on which the different products can are built. Yeah, so I have a special mention for SaaS PM because SaaS is a very, I would say, big category in product management, and we have seen a lot of products which we use in our day-to-day life in our work productivity like Jira, Trello, Asana, Freshdesk, right? So herein, you need to have I would say, a different skill set is needed as compared to a business PM or mobile or consumer-facing PM as compared to a SaaS PM. A great domain knowledge of the the intended use of the product, which will be is needed. So the SaaS product should be easy to use, and so there are products like marketing for marketing automation, like HubSpot, like SendGrid, Mailchimp. So these all are SaaS products, and one important focus or point to notice here is that you need to provide certain customizations to your users if you are handling a SaaS product, because what happens is that most of the large customers have their own requirements. So you need to take care of that. Another category of product managers is data PM. Now, these are the product managers who focus on data, and they have a strong understanding of machine learning and data science, and they work on products which use the applications of machine learning and AI. To give a brief example, product manager for search, right? So the product manager for search for Amazon. Now Amazon has is like having huge number of categories, right? So how you can optimize the search experience for users. Then building recommendation engines again, which work on the applications of machine learning, is another important product here, which is based on machine learning. And smart replies. So you would have must have seen in Gmail, whenever you get a mail and whenever you are trying to reply, you get some suggestions, right? So this is a product which is based on the application of machine learning. So the product managers who work on these products, they work very closely with the machine learning and the data teams. Yeah. Now, based on the stage of product, the PMs can be have certain expertise. For example, there can be a PM who has expertise in building products from scratch, right? So it's basically a new product development PM. Product development can be 0 to 1, that is, developing a product from scratch, or 1 to 1, that is, incrementing the product with new features. Then there is a category of PMs called growth PM. So growth PMs are growth hackers. They focus primarily on growing the user base exponentially. They focus on marketing, right? They are generally metric driven, and primarily their objective is to increase the user base, increase the the acquisition and retention metrics. Now, there is another category of product managers which is relevant in the industry. So these are niche product managers who work on solving specific pain points or problems, like the in the areas of, like, the security, trust, privacy. For example, fake news is one of the most prevalent problems in social network like Facebook. Now, the product manager for uh, you know developing products for fake news would be responsible for developing algorithms or systems or processes through which they can filter out fake news. For example, one instance which I can quote here is that WhatsApp also started uh, highlighting posts which are frequently forwarded with a forwarded symbol to distinguish it from a normal post. Then there are products like spam filter, abuse reduction, uh, in order to you know uh, filter out the unwanted material and news or feeds from what is generally accepted. So there are PMs who work on these categories as well. Yeah. So any questions?
So, Sahil, that was a wonderful presentation. So, there's one question from Prateek. So, he's asking, can a
Mhm.
product manager, uh, just a minute, can you be a product manager without having any technical knowledge? Is tech
Mhm.
understanding must have?
Mhm. Mhm. So, Pratik, I would say that you need to have some understanding of tech, not a programming or a development kind of, or a coding kind of a understanding, but understanding of how various systems work on a system level, right, on a broad level. It will be helpful because ultimately product managers need to work with developers. So if you are in a big company, you would be working closely with a engineering manager or a program manager. But if you work in a startup, it can happen that you are also uh, working as a program manager. So I would say that it helps to have certain understanding of technology. Uh, so I would say that if you are a business PM or a PM who works on data tools, or basically working on understanding data, analyzing data, and then coming up with certain kind of a features in these kind of a role, or in a design PM kind of a role, tech understanding, the level of tech understanding which is required is much less. But if you are working on a niche, SaaS kind of a product, or a very tech-driven kind of a product, I'd say that it helps to have a technical understanding, right?
Thanks, Sahil. So, Sahil, I have one question. So, you've mentioned that there are like different types of product managers, and
Mm-hmm.
depending on the product, depending on the role. But if you are a new, if you are someone who wants to get into product management, uh, how to identify what kind of role I would be comfortable working with, or I would enjoy. So, how would you define that? What is the best PM role suitable for me?
Sure, it's that's a great question, Lokesh. So, see, generally, PMs or a product management role is not a starting level role, which a particular person gets once he starts his career. So, generally, we start a career in a development environment as a developer, or as a data analyst, as a business analyst, or as a UI UX designer. So, for example, in my case, I started my career right after B school, and I have a good understanding of the business, and it's very strong in analytics. So I am very much comfortable and in a business PM kind of a role as compared to a tech PM kind of a role. So I would say that if you are have a good understanding of technology, have a hands-on experience on coding, then tech PM role would be much more suitable to you, and then business PM role. And similarly, if you have UI UX design experience and you want to transition into product management, then a design PM role is much more suitable to you. So depending upon your strengths, you can identify and apply for roles which you are interested in. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much. So, Sahil, one last question before we wrap up things. So, it would be really great if you can share some resources or tell us how to learn about different kind of PMs in more detail, and
Mhm.
so that people can easily learn more about them and transition into one of these roles.
Mhm. So, Lokesh, as such, there is no such, I would say, book or course which tells you about different type of PMs. But I would advise aspiring product managers to browse through various articles on Medium, and basically go through a lot of courses and case studies, and they can even go through good books. uh, for example, for a tech PM, sprint planning is very important, right? So there's a great book called Sprint, which I would say is a must read for people who want to work in a tech PM kind of role. Similarly, for a design PM kind of a role, UI UX skills is very important. So there is a great book by the name of Design of Everyday Things, right? So these are very good resources. And for business PM, you can read upon analytics, and data-driven decision making. These kind of books. But I would say that one thing which is common for all these roles is the whole process, end-to-end process of product management, right, from ideation to conceptualization to understanding the pain point of the users, right? And users should look for there are various courses available right now, and you know uh, they can benefit from these courses.
Got it, Sahil. Thank you so much, Sahil, for taking time on weekend. And I'm sure our users have loved this presentation. This presentation would be available on our YouTube channel for review for review at a later time. Thank you so much, Sahil, for taking time.
Thank you, Lokesh, and I would like to thank each one of you who turned out to hear me. And I've also mentioned my mailing coordinates here in the presentation itself, and if you have any query, you can reach out to me. Thank you. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure
Sahil.
speaking to you.
Thank you.